Hello and welcome to another Lord of the Rings Rise to War video. I am the player who's back playing as King Under the Mountain, and I'm here to give you a little update. It's been a couple of weeks since I actually did one. I think I did a video on the first day, and we are now on day... I have no idea what day it's on actually, to be fair. Probably about 2 weeks in, I think. There is a way of finding that out. I should probably be more prepared. Guessing it's on here. There you go. So we're 16 days in so far. Before I go into the map, I'll just go into the leaderboard, whereby we're currently sat in third in personal power. I was second for quite a while, but we got pushed a little bit in one of my main tile areas by Axed. So I lost a few tiles, pretty large ones actually at that point. At one stage I did only have 200 plus tiles. I don't have that anymore. I sort of backfilled with 150s because there was plenty of them everywhere, and I think it's really important if you are going into these things and to war the way that you need to war in this game. You do kind of need to keep your production up, and you need to replace production if you lose it. So there are 3 large kingdoms, I think it's safe to say, in this server. I'll show you the map in a minute to kind of go through how it looks, but there are also some smaller kingdoms which are... It's actually a really active, quite well balanced server, to be honest, and I think every time a dynamic changes or there's a different battlefield front, people feel a bit aggrieved because it looks like it kind of goes a little bit 2v1 for a while because people get pushed. I think we felt it first. I think Axed have also felt it, and I think Only have felt it as well, to be honest. But that's not the full tale. So we are in a kingdom with us, Dobie, and with Aemon, who are obviously in our kingdom with us. They're a little bit smaller than us. I think they won't mind me saying that, to be honest. Then you've got Axed, who are in a kingdom with Crow, who are here. Then you've got Only, who are in a kingdom with June. Everything so far has been pretty friendly. And then you kind of get into the slightly smaller kingdoms where you've got Hotter and Dark, who are 2 different kingdoms. Yeah, so it's quite interesting so far, and I think as long as it stays that way, I think it'd be good. This is the current contribution leaderboard. As usual, I'm miles behind Raven. The guy's an animal, so I can't quite make it there, but I'm pretty close, to be honest. Then this is the map. I'm gonna try and give my version of events. I think is probably key to this. I would guess. I suppose other people might see this differently, but without giving away any pins, I hope. So we are the Purple Kingdom. This is Dark. This is Only, and this is Axed. I can't remember, what were these guys called? Troop. Yeah, as well. So they've actually done pretty well out of that as well, but we've kind of been backfilling in our lands. The general sort of story was that Axed and Only started by each other. They started fighting over this pass here on about day 5 or so, and Only pushed quite far into Erd Mithrin. I think it was this path, this pass, I think, as well, they kind of fought into. And then Only kind of travelled south naturally, met at Moria. So we came out of Darklands, which is where we started here, obviously took our capital, and we kind of took purposely a route around the bottom of the ring, because I think if you start trying to go into the ring area too early, you naturally put a target on your back. So we purposely went kind of south side, and we had no one to fight really at that point, and we were coming over here to fight Hotter, but actually Only beat us to it. So they kind of pushed Hotter out of Eriador a little bit, and we kind of joined the fight here, and we're a little bit out leveled, to be honest. So that was probably about day 8 or 9, I would guess, something like that, 7 or 8, 8 or 9. And then we were fighting Only for a day or so, and Axed came down from here because they'd obviously got a little bit less pressure from Only because they were fighting us here and June were here as well. So Axed kind of refilled their barracks and came sort of south through this sort of area here. They came across into South Anduin Vale and started pushing us in Lorien which is here. So we were kind of fighting only here and axed here, which I suppose in a way that was kind of helpful because it was sort of pincered from two sides, but at least it was close by. And we kind of had to manage that change for a few days. Axed, I think then, to my knowledge, came over here and started fighting only and got quite far. So only relocated from this kind of region here after taking Moria, and basically pushed Axe back out of Eaton Moors. So we've had June at a crossing here for a little period of time, which I'll kind of show you that in a moment, because that's sort of where I've been based for 4 or 5 days while other things have been going on. Axe have sort of continued pushing around here, and we've just very recently flipped the angle to try and get probably a little bit of a stretch. I think that's pretty obvious at this stage. So we've just taken this path here, and we've kind of expanded a little bit into Withered, filled in our backlands a little bit because that was a bit of a pain, and we're still finding it across in here, trying to keep June out of the Lorien area. So it's been quite an interesting server, but whenever sort of someone's got a little bit stretched, I think it's felt a little bit 2v1 at times, even though I don't really think it has been. It's all been quite 1v1v1. Some of these slightly smaller kingdoms, I believe, now have started to fight as well, as you can see there, and I believe the Dark Kingdom want to fight Troop, but it's how they get there is probably going to be the key. So it's been an interesting server with 3 pretty good kingdoms that have been quite well mannered to each other and quite a lot of respect. Obviously, we played with Axed last season, so we know them quite well. But that's kind of the current state of things. So Axed are on top of this pin here. Eamon are on top of this pin here, and only are on top of this pin here. So it's been quite an interesting few days, I think, is probably the key. So just heading back to the map. So I'm currently over here, and I've been here for quite a few days. So we had a squad of 5 or 6 people who have been sat here, kind of guarding this tunnel to try and keep out only and June for a period of time. What I'd really like to sort of touch on is that I think this wouldn't be possible without some of the new mechanics that have actually been quite good. So I know people don't really like the 10-minute timer for tiles, and I completely understand that. Just see if this is a full army or not, I guess. 2 seconds. It is not, I don't think. Oh, it might be. Okay, well, we'll move down this way anyway because we're trying to get to this this fortress that's building here. So this is on their land. So I'll probably touch on this in some other videos, but I just wanted to give a little bit of a season update video while I was doing one, really. The new mechanics, they've already run off, basically suggest that on your own land, I think fortresses now take 6 hours, possibly 8, something like that. Same on neutral land, but if you're in someone else's territory, it takes 24 hours. So that can make it quite difficult to obviously take passes and or keeps, because you cannot take a keep or a pass without having a fortress within range, which is a bit of a pain. And it has led to some kind of slower parts of the season. And I know some people are frustrated by that, but I guess the sort of opinion of how it might work is the fact that if you're in a real warfare situation, it would probably get a little bit entrenched, and this is kind of, I don't know, they're trying to mask that kind of thing. Do I think they've got it completely right? No. Do I think the 10-minute timer's probably too long in someone else's territory? Yes, I do. But I think they have tried to sort of tweak some stuff, and I do think they're learning what the players want. It's just a little bit slower than what probably the player base would like. And I'm going to touch on that, I suppose, with forts, because we're in the TE season, so you actually have tactical forts in this season. And it's been quite interesting and quite fun. So see if I can find a tactical fort. So this here is a tactical fort. This is Raven's tactical fort. And you can use these as pretty much the same as your settlement. So if they are completely upgraded, you can get about 90% of your barracks in there. And you can swap commanders, you can send different commanders there, you can swap troops on your units. It's basically like a mini settlement. And it's quite good because it can attach anywhere. So you can attach to mountain ranges, or sort of, you can literally attach yourself to anything, to roads, rivers, whatever you want it to be. Whereas if you're relocating, obviously you can't do that. To a slightly lesser extent, forts are also useful. So if they're fully upgraded, you can transport troops to them, and basically you can move around what you want in there. So at the moment I've got purely Guardians in there, so I've got 12,000 barracks at this fort here. And what happens is you kind of press this button. If I take a hit, I'll sort of show you how it works. So you basically, but for the sake of this argument, you press this button, you choose what troops you want, and then you choose a commander who can't be a flying commander to basically walk your troops to the fort. And it basically just means that your reinforcement time's really sort of small. So with me fighting here, my reinforcement time's about 3 minutes as opposed to 33 minutes if I was right by where my base was. So I feel like they've tried to fix what was seen as a problem with the long march times, because if you are now in a war situation, you can set up a fort or a tactical fort to basically supply you with troops. So my reinforced to my fort time is about 15 minutes because it's a little bit quicker than just walking there. So it's really I think that's a really positive step for the game, and I think I'd like to do a small video on how those work and how the pass mechanics now work and things like that, because it has changed and it has been quite interesting. Not to everyone's taste, I think that's probably the key, but for me it's been pretty good. I mean, we've had some pretty solid fights for the few days. I appreciate some of the June guys are a little bit lower level, but they do, to be fair to them, keep throwing themselves at you, which, you've got to respect that. But there's some really powerful players in Only that we keep hitting from time to time, and when they hit you, they really do hurt. So hopefully we'll get a hit in before I finish the video. I've done a few tweaks to my gear from memory since the last time, so Dane set's pretty much still the same. I think I've managed to just put another refine on Gandalf's sword. I would like to try and tweak this over a period of time if I could get more hammers. Again, need more axes of Khazad-dûm, and I could do with any kind of Palantir, to be honest. The amount of Palantirs that I get is minimal to none. And then this season I've tried to make Sauron a little bit faster. Next season I have actually got some better items for agility to make sure that I can get him as probably as fast as I'm going to be able to get him without using 1.0 gear. So that's kind of where I'm sat with gear, and I swapped that between the two. I think someone's actually going to hit me. This is good. Who's this? Oh, let's see what happens here, but hopefully after this hit I should be able to show you how the fort works. So that's kind of where the season's at. It's been fun so far, I think, is probably the key. There was something else I wanted to sort of show people before I got to the fort. So let's see if we can just go into some pass mechanics. So if I come over here, basically to take this pass, you either have to occupy this spring here and have a fortress on it, or you'd have to occupy this spring here and put a fortress on it. Because that was another thing as well. Fortresses now have to be built on mysterious springs. So they've had to put more springs in. They've had to put them close enough because their range is now down to 15 tiles. So you can actually take tunnels and passes. The one where they actually got this wrong is Moria. If I can come down to Moria from here, I should be able to, I hope. And Moria, we found out that we couldn't actually take Moria. Somewhere around here. Where's that tunnel? Right, there's my Moria fort. So definitely a tunnel around here somewhere. Basically, this spring, that's not the one, I think. Where's that go? Okay, is this the one to Moria? I'm literally floating around the map. Yes, right, Moria. Here we go. I knew I'd find it eventually. Unfortunately, we learn, and this was a bit silly, that we couldn't actually try and snipe or defend Moria because the only fortress that are in range, or the only springs that are in range, are on this side of Moria, which I think is a little bit of an oversight from the devs. So we were obviously on the other side of this pass. If I just follow the pass around, this here isn't actually in range. So if we wanted to take Moria, we would have had to have owned by eagles or whatever it might be, and if it was neutral it'd be a lot simpler, but we'd had to have owned this to push from our side. So I think they probably need to look at some of the ranges on some of the passes, and probably work it out from there. I think this one's probably a bit of an anomaly, whereby they just need to take a little bit out of this mountain range here maybe to here, and then you sort of get range. But for now I would say that's a little bit of an issue, because I think that's on a couple of passes that we've seen where that's been an issue. I did take a little bit of damage, not a lot here. Like I say, some of the Dune guys are really low level at the moment, and I don't think that's through any fault of their own. They just haven't done much fighting. But like I say, they do throw themselves at people all day and all night, and I fully respect that. You know, I think activity is a big part of this game and how it works. So hopefully when I've took this tile in a couple of minutes time, I'll be able to show you how the reinforce works and how the fort system works. While that's going on, I'll show you my ring setup, because again it's the point system. So we're on ring 122. I'm now trying to fill up my resource trees. I've got max forts, I've got the abundant force conscription time minus 10%. And with me having the dwarf settlement, because you got to choose your settlement style in TE, I actually also get minus 10% for conscripting dwarves. So if I look at my actual settlement, I guess is probably the right word. So if I look at this, I just conscript dwarfs all day, every day. So I've got some iron warriors, and I'm slowly building them in the background. Guardians for me are the best troop in the game for affordability / keeping yourself in the fight all day long. And I put it down to some of this because obviously 1 in every 2 hits they get minus 10% damage reduction from physical damage. The bleed's alright because it obviously takes out a little bit of this here takes away a little bit of a white council stack sometimes, and then I've actually got unyielding armor in Tactics Evolved. Some of the Tactics Evolved skill, by the way, have been really downgraded. I'm not really too sure why that is, but it's been really downgraded. What I will say, if you are going to go into a TE season and you do like your dwarves, Iron Warriors are pretty strong. They've got decent HP. Their skill is minus 5% damage received, which is pretty good, and they've also got full armor. So from physical damage, they're taking 20% less damage. The only issue that I find with them is they are 3 times roughly the cost of a Guardian. So if you are going to fight all day, every day, and you do need to protect things, which I think in here it's more important now in 2.0 that you are able to fight most of the day, it makes it a lot easier to defend a position, put it that way. So I think that's something that needs to be considered when it comes to troops. I know a lot of people like using Fell Beasts, but they're just so long to conscript that it just takes forever. So my reinforced time here is 3 minutes 22. Those reinforcements can still be sniped, as they always would be now in 2.0. But you can choose to reinforce from your settlement, which is 18 minutes, or you can choose to reinforce from your fort. So it's a 3 minute 22 reinforcement time. Obviously there's a little bit of danger in them being attacked there. But just to go back to the fort, you would then press your fort to basically fill your barracks back up again. So you'd press transport, press the plus button, select Guardians in my case. And then I would pick out, I don't know, someone like a Saruman, I guess. If he's got any troops, I don't think he has. So I'll pick out Galadriel. And then she'll walk the troops there. So in 12 minutes' time, my fort will be full again. So basically, every 10 or 12 minutes, my Gandalf can be completely full. And I think that is such a great new system for 2.0 that I think it desperately needed. And I think it just shows that they've given things some thought. I've got no issue with them trying to change the game. And I know people sometimes say, oh, we can be too positive about it. But I don't think it's necessarily being too positive. They clearly had an image for what they wanted the game to be. They've tweaked it slightly, and I think it's now more playable than what it was a month or so ago. I just think they're trying to make it more interesting, and these kind of tactical fort ideas and the fort idea, I like the way that works, and it has definitely allowed positions to be more defensible if you get it right with the right troops. 100% on that. And with that, that's probably everything that I wanted to update people on. So, there's a long way left in this season. I think there's another 7 or 8 days until Dol Guldur even opens. And it'll be interesting when it does open if any sort of alliances form or anything like that. I know personally at this second we've got no intention of making any alliances, because I think the 1v1v1 sort of situation that we've got going on the server is actually quite a healthy one for it. It's also healthy for how we'd like to probably see it progress and see where we are as a team. But yeah, so that's about everything for today. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to try and get a stream schedule set up a little bit better now from now on. Little bit of an appeal from me. So I've been provisionally accepted as a fearless pioneer, providing I can just get a few more subscribers. So if you do like the content that I create, please subscribe. And that can kind of set up where I think we'll get a little bit more of a sort of schedule going. It will allow me to do a lot more time in the game. And the other thing that I now have, and I will leave the link in the description, is I have an affiliate link with the game, which is the top-up link like every other kind of content creator, I guess, has sort of got now, and I know some teams have got them too. By the looks of things, it will massively support what I do, so I plan on putting that anything that's made from that link pretty much back into giveaways for people who have supported my content all the way through and subscribed and even put some money into the top-up link. So that's sort of the intention. So if you are spending in the game and you do it through the website, which I think is the best way of doing it, personally, because it tends to be cheaper in a lot of regions. For example, if you are in the Eurozone or if you are in a pound sterling zone, you can buy in dollars, for example, and it is a lot cheaper for you. It's about 75% of the cost, something like that. So there is a value to it. It doesn't cost you any more for using the link, which I'll drop in below. It just helps support the channel a little bit. So thanks for watching. If in doubt, as always, particularly with your gear and your choices as things start to change, always follow your nose.